Hey, he's already headed to the computer shoebox for another box.
That's right. That's right. Do I need to add him back to the call? No, he's still in the call. So he should be able to sign in on another account and jump on. I'm able to do that usually. So anyway,
Gotcha.
hello everyone and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I'm your host, The Church of Failure. A little bit different today. No cold open. We're a few minutes late. That's not different at all. But we are having some technical issues with one Mr. Don Chin.
Lay down.
And obviously you can hear my my gremlins in the background giving everyone a hard time. But we are here with Ayrton, my trusty co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
It was nice to, read some comics for the show instead of just show up half asleep.
I mean, you're supposed to read comics before just about every show. I mean,
Well, yeah.
or at least some articles or something.
The showing up not half asleep part more so.
Yeah, that's
because it's still my weekend.
Oh, okay.
My week doesn't start till Tuesday, so.
We are joined in the virtual studio by a very special guest. With us today is Mr. Bill Mouse. Am I saying that properly?
You are saying that properly.
All right. So
thank you so much for having me, guys.
Oh well, we definitely appreciate it. Don suggested that we do a show and talk about a character that you guys worked on together. And
and a specific character. Okay, well, let's see what he mentioned.
Well, I'll let him get back here because I don't know how much I'm supposed to divulge. But Don has me sworn to all kinds of secrecy, like blood oaths and whatnot. I mean, I'm pretty sure he already owns a contract for one of my children. I'm not sure that guy, but
he's rewiring a satellite right now to join us. So it's he's serious business.
But no, we're actually also here today in part to talk a little bit about Parody Press, which we became familiar with through the adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters.
Gotcha.
Oh, there's
Don.
Don.
There's Don.
Don, can you hear us?
Can you hear us, buddy?
Oh no. Uh-oh. I see him there. He's there. He is with us.
Hey guys, I'm still trying to log in and have to install Skype on my other.
Okay. All right.
Well, we can hear you.
I can hear you. We can still hear you. Anyway, while
it'll be a silent movie for him. It's
technology.
That's been our theme. He uses psychic powers to hear us.
So, but again, like I was saying, we became familiar with Parody Press.
I'm gonna try to put it on my phone, guys, and see it.
Okay. All right. We'll
that works.
We'll see how that goes. This is how a normal show goes. There has to be some technical issues. We actually have a bingo card, and that's the free space. So, I'm not sure if he was.
I don't know sign language.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Oh, in the side chat, Church.
You can't do that to me. That's
Getting
not
close
fair.
to having it on my phone, guys. Hang on.
Oh, you're good.
If we can do it in Braille, that'd be good.
I think I can do it in interpretive dance.
Sold.
Yeah. You can turn subtitles on for your Skype calls.
Oh
nowadays.
Yeah. That'll work out wonderfully, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they work so good.
But we were sent some reading material to get back to the topic of the show. Unfunny X-Cons, the Unlikable X-Farce, and X-Farce Presents Cable TV, who does intentionally look like Dan Rather. So that's
those go back all the way to the beginning, right? Yeah, for sure.
So I gather from those books, and I'm guessing a lot of the chat can probably gather, these are kind of larks on the X-Men. These are parody comics and satire comics based on the X-Men, of course. So, did you have a connection with the X-Men? Is that the reason that these were partially your brainchildren, or what was the story of becoming involved in doing something like this?
Well, the first time I met Don was actually because I got hired to be a penciler for Eclipse Comics X-Force, the first X-Force book that we did together.
Okay.
So Don was the writer. So the story was actually his brainchild, and I was just brought on as a penciler. And that was a weird situation to begin with. I was actually drawing caricatures at SeaWorld during those years in California. And I had a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. His name is Bob Hannon. He was the inker on the book. And we were working together at the theme park, and he would brag all the time that he knew people in comics. He knows some editors, he knows some people here and there. And comics was something that I always wanted to get into. So I just kept on badgering him. It's like, well, if you know somebody, it's like, why the hell aren't we doing comics? It's like this and that. So it turns out that my badgering forced him to call an editor.
Oh man, I can hear Ayrton typing.
I know.
Stop that.
Good Lord.
Me.
Oh,
that's some serious typing.
Oh, that's Don.
That's Don typing.
That's Don. All right,
it's a stampede.
I'm gonna have to mute Don while he's typing. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead. You were wanting to get into comics.
Yeah, I was wanting to get into comics, and I badgered my friend Bob into finally making some moves on his own so he could actually prove to me that he knew people in comics. And he called up an editor that he knew at Eclipse Comics, and he ended up getting a job, but he couldn't finish the job on his own. So that's how I became the penciler on the book. And then of course we met Don because he was writing the book.
I do not have a headset plugged in.
Can you hear us, Don?
No, he's answering Ayrton in the side chat.
I'm trying to help him figure out the audio stuff.
Gotcha.
But
yeah, but that's the ins and outs of this. I wasn't going to shows for years, showing portfolios or doing. It was about being a pain in the ass to my friend at SeaWorld.
Because he made a humble brag. Over a humble brag.
Yeah, he made a humble brag. Yeah, exactly. It was all good. So I was just being a good friend because I know he loves comics and he loves doing art, and I just wanted him to push himself a little bit and be like, well, why don't you call that person? Why don't you, Yeah. So it finally got to him enough where he did, and then he got the job, and he was, and then there we were, in San Diego drawing our first paying gig, as it were.
Yeah, I do have some headphones I can try.
You're getting one side of that conversation, chat. Subscribe to the Patreon, and we'll post the other side of the conversation so you can follow along. But
well, I like how the show has a separate a story arc going, so that way you can follow Don's adventures, joining us, and at the same time,
this is all on purpose.
Right, we planned this. This is highly scripted. We've been working on this all day.
This is high art, my friend. This is what art is.
Well, I mean, I definitely drink enough alcohol for that. Anyway, but no, how does that?
That's a prerequisite.
It is, of course. Well, I thought that was writers mainly, but how does it?
Well, writers more.
How does it feel going from and no disrespect to any people out there that work at not convenient. God, what am I talking about? That work at amusement parks.
I was a convenience store artist.
That work at theme parks and amusement parks and stuff like that, fairs and do the do the sketches.
Oh, I wouldn't put it down.
No,
I wouldn't put it down at all. In fact, I consider because I worked at SeaWorld for like 3, close to 4 years, kind of doing that.
Okay.
And for me, that was like boot camp. That was boot camp for an artist because for me, I had to draw, pictures very quickly. I had to get a reaction from the person I was drawing very fast, and it's like you knew right on the spot whether or not you sucked.
Yeah.
It was so night and day. It's like So, and when I first started there, I was horrible. Being put on a spot, it was seriously, it was boot camp. I would highly recommend any artist do that for a couple years just to be put on the spot. And
can you hear us, Don?
I hear you guys.
Oh, we got it.
Hear us? All right.
Is there a
Thank
Don
you.
in the house?
I'm so sorry, guys. I
It's
don't know
all
what's
right.
going on. I have some AirPods, and they are in my ears, and maybe that was the whole thing. Maybe there was some Bluetooth connection that I wasn't aware of.
Oh man,
that's
Don,
happened to me before.
That's happened to me on the show before. I was an hour late starting the show. I called Ayrton on the mobile app, and I was just like, "Man, I'm about to throw this $1,500 worth of computer I just bought to do the show out the window because for some reason my audio will not pick up." And he's like, "Did you check your settings?" And I looked at the audio settings, and I saw the little Bluetooth icon. And I'm like, you've got to be effing kidding me.
We are good. Did you guys start the show yet? Or
we did.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah.
We are on the air. Mr. Don Chen, returning guest. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. This is Don Chen, returning guest.
Fantastic. Bravo. Bravo.
Well,
Such high energy.
Now that Don's officially here, this is wonderful. A nice little parody press reunion. I did get that tuxedo that you told me to get for the show. So
good.
I am in a tuxedo for this.
Pictures of that will also be available on the Patreon.
You don't believe me, but...
Well, the tuxedo has no pants. It's for the ladies in the audience. But anyway,
even so, an honor.
Mr. Don Chen, I have to ask you: is it okay to tell Bill why we called the show together? The character in question that started all of this.
The character in question that started all of this. I don't remember.
Yes.
Well,
there's so many X-Men characters.
You kept it such a secret that you don't know yourself.
Well, we were talking about one specifically that may have some new life being breathed into it sometime soon.
Oh, you mean my characters, or are you talking about something that Bill and I have worked on?
Well, I'm pretty sure he's worked on it.
I think Bill knows. Bill knows about the hamsters coming back and stuff. Is that what you meant?
Oh no, the character in the X-Cons book.
Oh, okay. That's right. Well, I kind of sent.
It's like, ooh.
I sent Bill. You mean the little short story that I kind of previewed with you? Yeah, Bill. I don't know if I told you this, but I let these guys read my 3-page short story with Tangerine.
That goes against all of our non-disclosure agreements, and I'm gonna have to. I got a guy named Paulie. He's got a guy named Paulie's gonna send you up the river.
Bill, you are grossly overestimating the importance of Church and I. We barely count as leaking information too.
And to be fair, I haven't even shared anything Don sent with me with Ayrton without his permission.
You're a good man. You're a good man.
I'm sitting here waiting.
Tells me, he's like, "Hey, Don sent me something." Oh well.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
Yeah, basically.
Schrodinger's script.
Schrodinger's comic book.
I trust Church implicitly. I don't know why, but I just do.
I don't know why either, but I'm glad you do, and I don't plan on betraying that trust.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
That's cool that cat's a little bit out of the bag. That's totally fine. We do have some future plans for a new. It's gonna be a comic book. It's gonna be called Parody Press, just with an exclamation point, and it's gonna hopefully kind of fill a niche that maybe Mad or Crack Magazine kind of left open by not being around like they used to be.
Right.
Having a bunch of short stories, anthology style. we sort of did something like this back in the day. Remember, Don? We did it with Monkey Business,
right?
Which was a parody press book, and we had comic strips and shorts and all kinds of stuff. And it was like a variety show, And Crack Magazine was what I grew up with. That's what really got me into doing sequential art in the first place, was reading John Severin's Crack Magazine stories. So that's what the new Parody Press #1 is going to be. And the Tangerine story is one of the short stories that's going to be inside that book.
Okay, so I don't think it had been mentioned on air yet, but we're talking about a character by the name of Tangerine, who is a parody of Wolverine, and at some point in the Unfunny X-Con is called a fruit basket head. He has candy cane striped claws, and
I think those are straws.
I'm not sure.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah, they're straws.
They're striped straws.
I don't know what to expect when I read one of these books. It always kind of throws me for a loop. Because comic books take themselves so seriously nowadays. When you sit down and you read something that's just written to be fun and enjoyable and doesn't have this high overarching plot that you have to think back to 80 years of canon for, it kind of is a little bit of a shock at first when you first dig into something like this. It's a lot. You're like, wow, that was fun, and I don't know why there isn't more of this.
Well, and it's all the little things you guys throw in there too, which is one of my favorite things about the way you write, Don, is like just that I posted on Twitter, just that little credit card and just editored by Don Chin. I laughed for like 10 minutes about that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard, but I should know better because I've read enough of your stuff at this point that I should know there's little things like that everywhere. But that made me laugh so hard. I sent it to like 4 of my friends, like a picture of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. A couple of them didn't understand it. They're like, well, I guess you didn't do a great job with that one. I was like, well, it's a joke.
Oh, no, I have to say it's always the fact that you're so fast and loose with some of the naming. Hank MC, I laughed about that from about probably 9 p.m. last night until about 20 minutes before I called you guys.
The Beastie Boy, yeah.
Yeah. So
bringing in the fried chicken extra crispy.
Yeah, we did. Well, you're looking on the screen right now. We've got the bill like the '90s X-Men, and then the one I sent you earlier had, I think, a guy named Mark Lewis helped me kind of do a Kirby-esque, like the very first X-Men, and he was kind of a homeboy back in that story too, but even more so now.
Yeah. That's the cover we had up to begin with. That is the Unfunny X-Cons, and as you can see, this story features not only the X-Men parody, but you see a parody of Batman just leaving.
Bill loves Batman. He loves Batman.
It's kind of a family tradition.
Now, who is
Batman makes his way into everything?
Who is the Robin Jubilee type character that's featured like a couple of pages over? Let me see if I can get her.
That would be a question for Bill.
Yeah, here we go.
That would be a question for me.
Yeah, there we go. I got her up on screen now. In the top couple of panels.
Show me what we got.
Yeah, the top couple of panels.
Oh yeah, that was just supposed to be Jubilee. That was
with the Robin.
Yeah, because Jubilee always had that big yellow jacket.
Yeah.
And so it always read to me visually like, and plus I already had kind of Batman in the strip already, so it's like visually in my brain it's just I just automatically click over to where can I stick Robin in this?
Well, now my question
so that big yellow jacket.
That makes sense.
Well, my question to you: when was this published? This was 92,
Yes.
and
I want to say Yeah. End of
92, 93.
Okay, so are you familiar with Marvel versus DC, that event? Back in 96, I believe?
From back in the day. Yeah, from back in the day, but I don't know if I was... I'm assuming I would have been familiar with it back then, too.
Okay, well, there was a character when Marvel and DC's universes merged. There was a character called Sparrow, and that was Robin and Jubilee mixed together because Wolverine and Batman merged together. So
I was not aware of that.
You were way ahead of your time here.
Ripped us off.
I think you need to sue them. I think
that's a great segue.
I think we're on to something.
Because you also have one of the characters refer to Professor X as Picard.
Yep, before the X-Men
one
movies.
Scene, and then have him in like almost the Star Trek Next Generation outfit. Which I think you need to sue Fox for hiring Patrick Stewart.
I don't know. We're less comedians and more prophets. Maybe I don't know. It's I thought The Simpsons was the only cartoon that was really predicting future events. Apparently, we were doing some stuff. We were just on the same wavelength or something.
Oh yeah,
apparently.
Yeah. But I saw that and I was
Marvel.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys played along with me being coy there for a minute, but I actually stopped mid-read for this and did all of that research last night. And
right.
And I was like, there's no way that there's a Jubilee Robin here. Well, no, I was catching back up on the books and I was looking through stuff because, I mean, you have two different variants of Magneto in here, so obviously there's no canon for the X-Cons.
Oh, imagine
just the ones we shoot them out of. That's it.
That's pretty much. Also, the take on the fastball special with Professor X using Beast as the fastball, that was good. I appreciated that. But so we were talking to Bill while you were sorting out your audio, Don. When we asked him, he told us that the origin of him coming to work with you on this book was he was working at SeaWorld as a sketch artist. And
sketchy. He was sketchy.
And so this
sounds like he still kind of is.
So this was another one of your brainchildren as far as parody titles, right? Like the X-Cons and X-Farce and all that.
Yeah, X-Farce came first, and that was published by Eclipse, and that's how we met. Was that the editor there must have gotten a submission from Bill because we didn't know each other up to that point. I had just written this script because I heard that Rob Liefeld's X-Force was huge. And so we wanted to kind of ride on their coattails. So I came up with X-Farce and, just came up with this really silly script. And then I sent it to Eclipse and I said, do you guys want to do another parody book? And they jumped on it. And so I think Bill and his friend Bob Hannon, who inked X-Farce, you must have sent them some submission, right, Bill? Is that how you knew?
No. In fact, that was the deep, dark secrets that I was revealing while you were going dark before the show started. It's like I was letting them know that Bob, we were working together at SeaWorld, of course, and I was badgering him day in and day out because he said that he knew one of the editors at Eclipse. So I asked him to prove himself. Basically, I just wanted him to get a job because I didn't see any way for me to get a job because he got a job. It's just I just wanted to push him because comics was something he loved so much, like I did, like I currently do, like always. But I just wanted him to get the job, and he did. He got the job because he called the editor and talked. And I don't know, but the deadline was such that he was like, I can't draw this whole book in this amount of time. So I ended up being the penciler on the book in order to help him draw it with the deadline that was already set. So we were pulling all-nighters.
Wow!
In a San Diego apartment. Veronica back then, she was my girlfriend back then, and we had a couple of all-nighters just inking that book and getting it all done. Yeah, it was crazy. that's a huge memory of our first official paid comic book gig, especially for a company that everybody already knew about. You know, I wasn't publishing something out of my garage like I was doing back in Virginia Beach. You know, I was just going to shows and hoping for the best, and I was pretty convinced that that's basically was going to be the beginning and end of, you know, what I was going to be able to do. You know, you never know what opportunities are going to come and go and stuff. So that was our first paid gig. To me, that was like,
wow.
I was as excited about that as I would have been if Marvel had called me up and said, "Oh, you got the next Spider-Man issue." I never thought I'd draw a real, you know, comic book for a real company, you know, that sort of thing. So that was a huge, God, that was like 30 years ago, right?
And you were how old? You were how old, Bill?
I think I was 7. I'm not sure. I have to look it up.
Yeah, there was child labor. We all know how sketchy Don can be.
Yeah.
You're going with 7.
Well, child labor. They didn't want.
That's how many fingers you have to count up to, isn't it?
But no, 93. I must have been 23, something like that. You know, 22, 23 years old, somewhere in that neighborhood.
They sold a ton. They sold a ton of this book.
Because people thought it was actual X-Force.
Let me get that pulled up.
I don't really think they thought it was. I just think, you know, back in the day, any print runs that were, you know, over 50,000 weren't that unusual during the black and white, you know, explosion. And this one, gosh, I wish I knew what the numbers were, but I think they were.
They were up there. I remember.
Yeah, maybe
it was quite a lot.
Yeah, 70 to 80,000 maybe, or something like that.
I want to say 80, or it's somewhere in that neighborhood. It was definitely underneath 100, but it was some ridiculous number that I could never achieve as a self-published guy 10 years later.
Right. Bill, I was going to say that I came across an ad on Twitter that I think I sent to you, Church, but it was there was a promo ad that said Todd McFarlane was going to do the cover.
Right. Yeah.
I was just about to mention that to you. That's who was lined up to actually do the cover.
And I don't know why it didn't work out, but I think maybe the editor had or Eclipse had an in with McFarlane, because I think they published some of his earlier work before he did Spider-Man, and kind of left.
Might have been a cost issue, might have been a schedule issue, but he was actually slated to do the cover for the book, which would have blown it up. I mean, it's like would have been
that would have
even more than what it did. Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do too much humor, really, but
I mean, there was a little bit in Spawn in the beginning. There was a little bit of humor kind of sprinkled in there, but it was definitely nuanced.
Yeah, humor. Yeah.
It was not, you know, parody press level stuff. So, now one thing I want to talk about as far as the covers goes, and we've talked to Don about this throughout all the adolescent radioactive black belt hamster stuff, but the covers for these books, there's just so much that you can unpack from them in what you're looking at. Like, you know, all of these characters are seemingly an amalgamation of either silly ideas or two characters or a real life person and a comic book character or a really weird stereotype.
Very true.
Like strong Indian. Just that's who he is. He is strong Indian. 8-Ball, which, I mean, it's just phenomenal. Now, I forget the actual name of the. It's not Shatterstar. It's Fallen Star.
Fallen Star. It's Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman after he got arrested.
Okay. All right.
That's who it's supposed to be.
I like it.
That was you had your finger on the pulse of the news with that one. That was.
You've got Witchbane and Garfield. That's
Garfarrell, yeah.
Yeah. And Domino.
Some of these names hard to say.
drawing that face was one of my favorite things. It's just so ridiculous.
Now, did you always kind of have your heart in the top of your throat, just kind of waiting for a call about a lawsuit?
We had a very good track record. I think Don, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we only got one cease and desist in all the 10 or 12 years that we were doing this.
Yeah, I think the Punisher. We did the character called the Pummeler, and I think we did a couple issues. So I think if you do one, you're okay. But if you kind of push the envelope and you're doing like 2 or 3, then you kind of draw the attention of Marvel's legal staff. And
I feel like I remember you mentioning last time you were on that your annual swimsuit edition, you had some legal trouble with too.
I don't know.
Those are so fun.
That's Bill. I don't know if I ever mentioned the swimsuit issues. I don't think.
I remember bringing them up. It said annual swimsuit edition, the first one, and the second annual one came out like 3 years later. And I thought it was on purpose, but you told me there was some reason that you guys had released them that way.
It's almost like art imitating life and life imitating art. It's it's like that was a joke. Yeah, that was a joke we made. That's the ticket. Yeah. No, that's just as quickly as we could produce that one swimsuit issue. we lean into things. Since our real lives kind of run like these books to begin with, we just kind of lean into it.
Yeah.
I
see you found the Pummeler.
I was actually digging through some of my old digital backlogs of my super serious, completely legitimately acquired PDF files. And I came across a file that was just labeled Parody Press, and I was just like, wait, what did I have in here? And I've got stuff like Baywatch, Cable TV, Dork House Comics, Dorkier Images, Dumb 2099, He-Woes, Kill Barney, Pits, Rankin
Kill Barney,
Rummage,
Yeah.
Sewage Dragon, Skin 13, Spineless Man 2099, Star Blah.
Yeah.
You know, I actually got a blessing from Eric Larson about the Sewage Dragoon, as it were. I always heard something back in the day that he was a little unhappy with the fact that we had made a parody of his comic, and of course, you know, the parodies that were drawn. I'm all the parodies that I worked on are really books that I bought and books that I loved. Right. So I really didn't feel nice about didn't feel good about somebody being pissed off about it or being offended by it. But I actually did, like about a year ago, I guess, something like that, because he's on my Facebook and blah blah. This there's a little click of connections thanks to Facebook where you can keep in touch with people a little bit better. And so I asked him directly about it, and he was very cool about the whole thing. He was the coolest person ever, as far as like, hey, you know, I heard this made you mad, and that wasn't my intention. It's like I wanted to see, and because somebody brought it up that they had found the book, they bought it, and then they posted it on either his Facebook or on something that he was connected with, as far as the conversation, as far as that thread. And so I was just like, maybe I should message him about that since they're commenting about it. So yeah, I was wiping the sweat from my brow, you know, because you can imagine, I'd love to still be able to work with these guys. You know, the Image guys are they're the ones that set the stage for the '90s, as far as I'm concerned. As far as when I started collecting comics and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, right. I hear that a lot in these.
So that's the little story about me.
Well, I hear that a lot in these conversations I have with people who, you know, the '90s in Marvel and DC actually did push a lot of people away because it was right there at the cusp of becoming something big before the comics boom. And then Image came out, and Image was just like the edge of the sword of the comics industry, and that's what led in this, you know, renaissance of, you know, creator-owned comics and new and dynamic stories and guest spots and all of that stuff, crossovers and.
Totally agree. Yeah. Well, it made it possible for so many self-publishers to exist in the first place. It created a market for people that were actually even, and back then we used to have, again, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, we used to have 28 or 30 distributors back then.
We had quite a few. Yeah, I think at least a dozen. There was a dozen, and the biggest was Diamond, and now they're obviously kind of having some issues. But yeah, we had good distribution, and we'd sell a lot of books. And Bill, man, he was just like,
oh, dude, yeah. And shops. I mean, we used to do San Diego Comic-Con, especially. We do their preview night used to be especially exclusively for retailers and people that were buyers for stores and chains and things like that. And it was nice because they would take a chance. It was back when comic shops could afford to take more of a chance on something that they did not know whether it would sell. Something new or something weird or something different. They didn't have to play it as safe as they do now, which it's a very difficult market right now.
Right. And even I watched. I think I've talked to Don about this in the past. But I watched my local comic shop for 30 years. Pretty much one of the first places I went after I left the hospital because of my dad and his comic book collection and whatnot. But I watched them go from a store that catered to comic book fans and had a couple of boxes of baseball cards in the back or whatever, to selling video games and the comic area shrinking down a little bit, to only selling baseball cards and collectible card games, and you might have had a spinner rack worth of stuff, to now to the point where you can get a trade paperback ordered if you ask nicely enough. Just because it's such a lost leader in the industry, and the current, at least from my perspective on a local level, the current atmosphere is the only money to be made on comics to be made in the direct market by the creators, or in the movie theater, right? Like there's no money in Marvel or DC comics anymore. Like Batman just doesn't have the drawing power of a comic book like he used to the point that there are no shops that just support that kind of stuff anymore.
It's definitely tough times. Good God.
Yeah. So,
and even the ones that do, still, it's like a bit of comics and then toys and T-shirts and.
Yeah, they have to supplement, with something else in order to keep things going.
Yeah, energy drinks, Cheetos, whatever.
Yeah, everything you don't want near your comic books.
Right.
Yeah. There's one shop here locally I went into, and they have hot dogs. I'm not even joking.
It's one of those things on a little spinner thing.
They were converting a little bit more to gaming than they were to comics.
Yeah.
It's just a little small place. And I actually forget what the name of it is because it's been quite a long time since I went in there. But they didn't have very many comics, so I didn't go back. But yeah, they had a little place back there where serve some lunch. It's like turning into a half cafe, half gaming, and like 10% comic.
Yeah.
Kind of arrangement.
Now,
were the hot dogs at least tasty?
It reminded me of like I don't know, like hot dog soup, like just the smell of hot dog water.
I just had a hot dog tonight.
I bet you it was tastier than the one you can maybe get from the comic shop.
Probably was. Yeah.
It's like I don't want my comics smelling like boiled water.
Yeah, with hot dog in it. No.
I don't mind a coffee shop. If you made it a coffee shop or something like that, I mean, something about that seems attractive. But I don't know about like a full little lunch area, and then a bunch of people like eating food next to all those books that aren't really bagged and boarded yet.
You're just an elitist, Bill. Why can't you accept change?
It's like, no, this isn't a slab. I've got it in a Ziploc. It's in a Ziploc bag. Just like my sandwich.
Right next to my sandwich. But
hey, we should have bundled comics with food. There's a lost market right there.
We could have. They might have been onto something, and here I am talking trash about them.
I mean, you're talking. You got to think the market you're talking about. You had baseball cards with bubble gum, a comic book with a sandwich. That's the next logical step.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. What if you could have a Pop-Tart the size of a comic book? That shit would be insane.
Oh,
and that would be like the board.
See, I was thinking egg salad.
No, the Pop-Tart would be like the board in the bag. Yeah.
I like blueberry the best, just in case we finance this, Don.
I'm taking notes.
Trademark Gospel of Comics. We get a cut if you guys do this.
Oh yeah, we're putting the logo right on the Pop-Tart. What are you talking about?
That's right.
This was birthed here.
We did some bundling back in the day. Actually with a Parody Press. Remember that issue of Foodang that he was like the clown with the gun. It was actually an Entity comic book title, but it could have easily been Parody Press Bill. But we
for sure.
We polybagged that with like a balloon. Remember that one?
Well, we polybagged some books with some floppy disks at one point.
I was going to say, yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, we did.
We had, Ayrton, when did you grow up? Did you grow up in the 3.5-inch floppy disk video game age? Okay,
yeah, I was born in '91, so I was 1 year old when the comics we're talking about came out. So,
okay.
So yes, I remember floppy disks.
So me and Bill, we were, besides being comic book geeks, we liked computer games, and we still do. I mean, we still play video games, but I was big into shareware games, like Doom and what's that guy? Some Jackrabbit guy that used to come out back in the day. But anyways,
Descent.
So so we would take these floppy disks and burn these shareware games on them, and we'd mark them up. We mark up the comic book like $3 with the shareware game.
So you could have that extra 8-bit fun.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
capitalist dream right there.
I mean, that was probably where Wizard started putting demos in their magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Another idea they have to have stolen from you guys. I remember buying many a Wizard magazine with a PlayStation demo in it.
See, I never.
Yeah, you're right.
I wasn't paying attention to all the ideas they were copying from you, Don. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I guess we were cutting edge.
Well, I mean,
we had our comics in Walmart before.
You were kind of a dulled edge. I think they sharpened it up and packaged it a little, a little more. But you had the idea. You were the man on the ground.
So it's like so it's like Apple. Everybody comes out with some cool stuff, and then they shine it up and sharpen it up and release it later.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's all them. It's all them.
Now, there is one more thing about the book before we get completely off the rails that I want to talk about.
Sure.
Let's talk about the villains in X-Files. This is actually the part that really surprised me that you guys didn't get a C&D about. Because people take their Muppets very seriously.
Well, I think we got away with it because I think they spelled it puppet, like MPUPPET. So that kind of absolves us from any legal problems, right?
You were hoping. But
the MLF.
Yeah, the
Muppet Liberation or something, Liberation Force or something.
I also don't think this is one instance where I don't think you saw the future, because I'm pretty sure you didn't know what the abbreviation MILF would mean in the future. I saw that.
Did we?
I saw that and I did a double take, and I'm just like, no. And then I was like,
me too.
MLF. Okay.
I mean, that's an ugly looking woman.
Look, Look, we remember Wilhelmina Fist, Don. We don't put anything past you.
I did a lot of jokes that would probably get me banned in 2020.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure the opening of this book would get you banned in 2020.
Yeah.
So,
things have gotten a little sensitive recently.
Why don't you tell us about that opening, Ayrton? Why would that get us banned?
Oh, I might be thinking of ex-cons.
Yeah, that one probably would.
Yeah, ex-cons would definitely get banned. Sorry, I got them mixed up. My bad.
But no, I really enjoyed these. The only one that I didn't quite get to was Cable TV, or X-Farce Presents Cable TV. But I mean, I'm just enjoying where this is going so far. You guys worked together on, well, approximately for how long? I'm guessing the actual number of books is probably a long gone haze by
now. Oh gosh, we're working for, I don't know, a nice decade.
Yeah, we did a lot of. Bill was prolific. He would just pencil and ink and airbrush, and he was the jack of all trades. That's one thing I think Bill deserves a lot of credit for, is just the sheer output, the volume of his. He really, I can see why Bob probably wanted to bring him in to finish, because Bill is, he's very professional and always timely, and I'm sure there's a lot of sleepless nights in his career, but he definitely was a great business partner. Yeah, super hungry.
A lot of ramen noodles in my past. No, but I appreciate that, Don. Yeah. It's we published a lot of books. Gosh,
I would say at least 100 parody books, maybe more.
Yeah, there were some months where I was working on 4 books in a month. Sometimes, not every month, but it's there was a lot going on all the time.
There he is, Cesspool.
Yep. The man of the hour, the parody of a parody of a parody.
Breaking several fourth walls.
That's right. We're up to the 6th or 7th wall here, but and there's also a crack at Rob Liefeld's ankles. His ankle drawing in this book. Rob Liefeld and I have a little bit of a past.
That made me laugh.
Did it bring you some closure or some? Did it bring you some peace?
It brought me some chuckles. He blocked me on Twitter for asking to draw me some feet pictures.
Oh man. You get a raw nerve with him.
I did. There may have been whiskey involved. I don't know. You should have to breathalyze to tweet after a certain hour. That's all I'm saying. But no, I liked all the nods to this, and the cover, of course, says that what you have here is just a parody of the best-selling book of all
time. I also really enjoyed the faux Marvel Comics executive meeting about how they're going to make more money selling the same book with 700 different titles or with covers that turn into a calendar or whatever.
Right.
It said.
Reminds me a little bit of just Spaceballs, the floor mat, Spaceballs, the poster, Spaceballs, the sandals.
I mean, the writing.
Love it.
The writing was apparently on the wall in the 90s for you to be this on the nose about it, but I don't think anybody could have imagined how bad it was actually going to get.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not that far off with your satirization of that. It's ridiculous.
Right. There was over 100 covers of a certain book recently. I mean, books are regularly released with 20 or more covers.
It really goes over. Yeah, over the top. Really over the top.
It's.
Well, we took a chance. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's actually more, more uncommon for a book not to have multiple covers than not these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
I would say it's become the norm. It's you almost expected there to be a special edition of whatever issue it is that you have,
and then a B and a C cover.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of the crowdfunded books seem to be going that route. We only had one cover for X-Farce, and then I'm not sure what happened, Bill. I don't know if Eclipse went out of business or why we decided to start our own, but just, less than a year later, that's when X-Cons came out, and I thought, well, why don't we have Ken Meyer draw us these throwback covers that are like the 60s X-Men, a spoof of X-Men 94, which was the new era, and then what was the last one, Bill?
Trying to remember.
It was the Kirby one.
There was the X-Cons versus X-Farce. There was the Generation X-Farce.
I think Jim Lee. We had Ken do kind of a Jim Lee X-Men ripoff. So we did.
His X-Cons cover is so great.
Yeah, we did well with that. So what we predicted in X-Farce, we actually did ourselves in X-Cons a year later.
We're men of our words.
Let's see here.
We exist in the world that we're parodying. So
I think there's a graphic I sent you, Church, with like
that one?
3 or 4 different covers.
The one that I just pulled up on stream?
I got a little lag here. There you go. Yeah.
Let me pull it back up on
the
stream.
first 3 on the right are the first.
There you go. Yeah.
And then Bill, we did a second. I think like a second printing, and Bill's cover is the one on the left that's got Tangerine and Cable.
Yep. And that's back when I was airbrushing a bunch of covers. I mean, I didn't have a computer that could color. Actually, Photoshop wasn't really a thing back then.
No, it wasn't.
They were still. We were using. When we were computer coloring, we were using something called Picture Publisher.
Ooh.
Which didn't have layers. It didn't have. I mean, we made it work. I thought it was amazing. And when I was actually brave enough to get Photoshop, like years later, start learning something new.
So on my comic shop, there's actually 5 different covers available for Unfunny X-Cons.
That doesn't
really.
Yeah, you have.
I wonder what the
size X-Men. You have 2 different variations of that as well, or one variation. Uncanny X-Men. X-Men number 1. And then the other ones that we mentioned.
You're saying... I'll have to look that up. I have no idea what you're talking about. I just have the photo that Don sent over, the classic.
I don't know, that's...
The 60s, the 80s.
That's what's on mycomicshop.com. They're all available for sale, by the way.
Yeah.
Except one.
If you look close at these covers... this was before like computers were being really used to color. So these were actually, most of them were colored with like Pantone markers, which kind of made you high when you used them.
In case you're wondering where some of the ideas came from.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Ken colored the ones on the right by himself, or I have a feeling I might have dabbled in seeing what I could do, but it was way before everybody was using computers, and then we kind of had to self-teach ourselves. Like my wife was using I think Photoshop and Corel Draw, and then Bill's wife started to learn how to color, and then I don't know who learned first, Bill, but we had our own like
we definitely we were self-taught. We were all in house. It was basically we treated it like a family business. I mean, because remember Don moved cross country to Virginia, where I was living. Well, actually, where I used to live, because I was living in San Diego. We both moved to Virginia in order to keep the studio in one place. and keep it easier for us to actually get our work done. Being closer together and stuff, because this is back before the computer was really, able to email things back and forth. We didn't have Dropbox. We didn't have things like, we were actually faxing things back and forth to each other for approvals and this and that.
And scanning pages back and forth for people to do things with that just wasn't an option.
It was insane. And then you couldn't afford a scanner that could actually scan. The scanner I got right now it's like a $400 scanner. It scans 11 by 17 just fine. But back then, you might as well ask me to get you a flying car, because an 11 by 17 flatbed scanner was going to run you $15,000 just to have a scanner without anything else to it.
Yeah, so it was expensive.
Made things work. Yeah, it took some effort.
I don't think I told you guys this, but in our when we moved from Northern California to the Virginia Beach area, so we had a home office and a house, and at that time, if you were going to do a color comic book, you'd have to send off to get color separations done, like at a pre-press place. And so those places would basically take your digital file and then make it like a 4-color separation. And it's really expensive. So a full color book, you'd be looking like at a couple $1,000s just for the color separations to do, to give to the printer. So my wife and I, we kind of did some math and we said, there's this company called like Pre-Press Direct or something, and they'll sell us like $100,000 piece of equipment that will actually rip color separations. And we physically developed with like toner and fixer, and we had this whole chemical setup in our house where we would be doing these photo separations with a Mac computer, but then we would be doing the separations with liquid. So it was kind of crazy. We had like this toxic stuff in our house.
Oh yeah,
and we were saving money.
Scientist.
Had to be great on money. Yeah, it had to be great on your lungs. So,
but my wife, she was awesome. She learned how to do all that pre-press stuff, and we would burn the midnight oil getting these books out on time. And back then, you couldn't email files or send them over the internet like Bill was talking about Dropbox. You'd have to put them on these huge 88 megabyte SideQuest discs, that were heavy, and you'd have to bundle them up and try to get to FedEx by 5. And
those things were huge. I still have some in a tub somewhere. I kept it just because it's so outlandishly huge. It's a big metal. It's a big metal disc. I could take the disc out and like turn it into like a wheel for a wagon. I mean, it was big metal.
Oh yeah.
Heavy. Yeah, it weighed a pound, this thing, and it was only 88 megs worth of space.
Right.
Here I am, the launch codes for NASA, and it's like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so you'd have to send a huge box of them just for one book to your printer. You'd hope that it doesn't get lost or damaged, but now it's all over the internet, so that's pretty sweet.
And it's instant. Now,
exactly.
In that vein, I actually had a question for you guys, and it's more of a philosophical thing. But I mean, obviously, you guys cared a whole lot about what you were doing. Just the brief story of what you went through, which probably barely even scratches the surface of what it is to run a business in 1992 that puts comics out. Right? I mean, it barely even, like, you were talking earlier, ramen noodles, midnight oil, I mean, pieces of equipment that basically make you turn your home into a biolab. And
just because we glowed, I mean, it didn't matter. We love comics.
Right. Now, and that's what I was getting at. Like, it was a passion project if you didn't have somebody to hand, like, if you couldn't just draw your work and hand it in and be done with it, like, you had to really, really care about what you were doing then. Do you feel like the ease of access has been a boon. Like an ease of access. When I say that, I mean like the ability to do everything you guys did with a mid-tier laptop nowadays. Whereas what you were talking about, it would be several $100,000 to do everything you guys did before printing.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Do you think it would be? Do you think it was better or worse now? Like as far as the amount of people who love comics and do them, or do you think that there might have been some suffering in the passion of the projects as it's gone forward? I mean, obviously there would be exceptions to that, but
I was waiting for Don to go first.
Sitting there with your head down, like my head. Yeah, a question you don't know the answer to. Try not to.
That's a multifaceted question.
It's an onion of a question because the access for me and for people that have been doing it since the 90s, for people like us, it's huge. I mean, it's a game changer being able to have the kind of access that I always dreamed we can have. And it's like, and having it so easy and just having it work, being able to throw files on Dropbox that are like 200 and 300 megs big, a page, if they need to be, that sort of thing.
Yeah, being able to basically draw your comic in the scale of the size of a piece of wallpaper.
My wallpaper #1. It's coming out this September, and but at the same time, because there's so much easy access, you have a million people who might try to do comics or just do it. You're going to have a whole lot more people doing comics. So you might glut. You might have too much product out there or too many things out there to choose from.
Heavy saturation.
But then again, the saturation. But at the same time, I grew up with 3 TV channels.
Yeah.
And we didn't see everything, but most of us were on the same page. We all saw the same kind of shows. We had stuff to talk about. But I think it's way better that we have a million channels. But at the same time, you know how many times I've sat in front of my TV or scrolled through Netflix, having access to everything and
nothing is interesting.
Yeah, gosh, it's like, well, there's nothing to watch. I have access to literally everything, and I feel like there's nothing to watch. Whereas when I had 3 channels, that Knight Rider episode was like my life depended on friggin' seeing a dumb episode. Because if you missed that episode, it wasn't online later. There was no online. If you missed it, it's gone forever. Yeah. That's it. Michael Knight's done. It's like
that's true.
It's I guess I'll have to watch, A-Team now. So it's
they talk about that a lot with Doctor Who fans, people that really like the new Doctor Who and that went so far as to track down the older stuff. There are still lost episodes of that show that people are hunting down on VHS and Laserdisc copies.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, because that stuff, it wasn't archived. Nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Once people recorded off their TV.
Yeah. I mean, and that technology wasn't there a lot of the time. Then the studios even would reuse their recording material. So, you got a Doctor Who episode that aired 3 years ago. Screw that. We're going to put, this talk show on it this week.
Yeah, I actually heard John Cleese recently doing a talk about kind of like where he started, like how he got into doing comedy and into Python and stuff. And I forget the name of the show he did prior to that, but he's like, yeah, they just taped over our show. He's like, but a couple of years ago, somebody sent us a VHS copy of this, and now we're actually able to go back and rewatch this stuff we did that was like still in black and white.
Yeah.
Like in like 1961 or something like that.
But yeah, I think you kind of captured the essence of what I was getting at, though, Bill. It on one hand, like you said, you have a million options, but on another hand, nobody really wants to read Vagrant Queen.
Oh man, I hear you.
So it's good and it's bad. I kind of wanted to know where you guys came up on it. Like, I'm interested in hearing like what it's like for people who came up in that because in my field, I work in T-shirts and printing and pre-press and all that stuff. So when you guys are talking about 4-color separations, I'm right there with you. I mean, I came up in a dark room with a giant camera and developing materials and lithograph and that sticky back halftone, sticky back halftone material that you had to use. Now that I can do all of that with the click of a button, and I'm sitting there upset that it might take my computer an extra 45 minutes to process that file as opposed to just instantly doing it. I don't, I don't catch myself oft thinking that, man, this used to take me 6 hours.
It's easy to take it for granted, right? It's easy to take it for granted.
So that's pretty much where that came from. Like, I don't think anybody having the ability to put what they want to put out into the world is ever a bad thing. Free expression and the idea of the marketplace being what it is always going to be good. I just wonder, how many diamonds in the rough, like the the unlikable X-Farce or the unfunny X-Cons, get lost in the dribble. Like, how many times has a book, like, I don't know, what's one of your favorite modern comics, Bill? And if you had to pick a modern comic from
if I had to pick a modern comic from just anywhere, let's just say just out of the blue, I would say like Savage Wolverine, just because I like Frank Cho's artwork so much.
Okay.
If something like that wasn't,
you're in league with the
wasn't able to be produced.
You're in league with the kindred spirit. You have a very large Wolverine fan on panel here in Ayrton. That's the only reason he's on this show is he was drinking Guinness and answered a call to be a co-host, and I was like, "What do you know about comics?" He's like, "I like Wolverine." I was like, "Okay, this will work."
X-Men. I read a lot of X-Men growing up.
But
I like the allegory behind it.
I go a little bit deeper than that. I've read stuff from the 30s all the way up to the 2020s. I
have two now.
Well, yeah, you're welcome. I brought some culture to your life, even. But before I got into just reading back issues and whatnot, I was a mainstream Marvel DC guy to the core, and then I started discovering stuff like Eclipse and Dark Horse and Image and stuff like that. And as I got older I started looking more to indie comics, stuff like Chew and Criminal, Kill or Be Killed. I'm a big crime noir guy. I like all of that stuff, and I just wonder how many people miss those because the market's saturated with the 7th installment of Captain Marvel. So
no, that's a valid point. I mean, it's like it gets lost in the mix with other stuff that's just water falling on top of it. Right. And how many people missed out on those really cool stories that the 3 channels. It's like oh man, we could have all been talking about this. This was a classic thing. How did you miss this, or how did you miss that? I ran into a lot of that with my daughter, which, by the way, today's my daughter's birthday, so I got to my daughter.
Oh, well, happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Bill's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, she turns 23 today, so that's some crazy business right there. Shows you how old I don't want to be.
Yes, right. Yes.
You're not really 37?
No. I've lied to you, Don. I've lied. Oh. It's all been smoke and mirrors.
You got the boy band looks.
Really good Hollywood makeup effects.
Yeah, that's all it is. I put up an avatar every single time. It's my Tony Stark decoy.
That and Goat's Blood.
My digital Bill decoy.
That and Goat's Blood.
But the reason I brought her up though is I run into that with her all the time. There's lots of things that she's missed out on, simply because she's a later generation, and there's certain TV shows or certain comic books or certain artists. This is something I used to run into. That's something I run into at shows the past 10, 20 years all the time, is younger people walking down the aisle not knowing that like Len Wein actually created Wolverine, and they're walking past him, not getting a book signed by this guy,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm just like blown away. I'm just like, oh, this you like Wolverine? Yes. This is the guy.
Yeah,
he's sitting next to me. He's sitting next to me all weekend.
You're not worthy, and neither am I. But he's right here.
He's right here. I was like, and after all these years, I only got to know Len like the last couple years before he passed away, because we met at San Diego, and his health wasn't tip top, and I would help him out at the table and stuff like that. He's a super cool guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But there's lots of lots of big artists that are just like, they're the classic guys, and people just walking right past, not knowing who they are, because it's not their fault. They're just they skipped a generation, and they're not paying attention, and they weren't told.
And one thing that I've noticed, just to harken back on a point you made, the 3 channels thing, everybody was talking about the same stuff. Everybody kind of had the same ideas, and not the same ideas, but they had access to the same information. That has happened again recently. The phenomena does still hold up. Everyone on the planet besides me watched Tiger King.
And me. I didn't either.
I wasn't even going to watch it just because everybody else was. And then my daughter puts that on with her. My daughter's actually, she's married. So her and her husband, Cullen, they're hanging out here in the studio, and they were watching it. So I was just like, all right. So I'm sitting there trying to get drawing done, but I got sucked into it.
I've told everybody but you on the panel, my wife actually does have a superpower. She is a real life, extraordinary individual. She can turn something on the television that I have no interest in watching, and might even actively detest, and 2.5 hours later, I'll still be sitting there watching
it. Oh man,
that's a legit power.
Like, I can honestly hear myself thinking in the back of my head, how much time have I wasted sitting here watching this crap? Hey, go ahead and hit the next episode. It's ready.
Yeah.
It's like freaking Carol Baskin.
But
my sister tried to get me to watch it with her. I was like, nah, I'm good.
If you can watch like 15 minutes, it'll suck you in. It's like crack.
It's a slow motion train wreck.
It's a lot like crack. It has the consistency of crack.
It's a slow motion train wreck. Every second of it, there's just something else that you're just like, I don't even want. What?
I've heard some stuff about it, like the fact that he's gay and got 2 guys to marry him who weren't gay.
Yeah,
because he owned a bunch of tigers.
Well, and meth.
What?
And meth.
Well, and meth. But,
and meth.
Like, nah, bro, I'm not gay, but 12 tigers. Like, you may be onto something. What?
But no, so that kind of stuff does still happen, and I don't know. It makes me happy that we do still have that in a world where you literally walk around with a wealth of human information in your pocket all day, every day.
Right. It's that's a legit thing. You literally do have everything in your pocket.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, there's a website called Let Me Google That For You, and it's my favorite thing. Somebody asks you a stupid question, you go to Let Me Google That For You, and you Google it, and then it gives you a link to send them, where it types it out on their phone for them, and then click search. So that it like goes through the process all the while saying, "Let me Google that for you," and then gives them the Google results.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
So you guys worked together for a little over around about a decade.
Yeah.
What was your you personally, Bill? What was your favorite project that you worked on in your time with Don?
Dude, we had so many projects, and we had so many laughs, and it was it was like getting together at your friend's house and just trying to come up with jokes and trying to come up with stuff and it's I've got books that stick out in my mind only because of weird experiences that I had at shows because of them.
Okay.
But all of them were super fun to work on. I mean, it's just, we always had so much fun.
Give us a book like that and not give us at least one story, Bill.
Well, right. I'll give you one story because it was a day that I thought I was going to die.
Okay.
Okay.
And well, Don and I, we did a book. It was a parody of Gen 13, and we called it Skin 13.
Yes.
And basically,
Let me pull that
gag,
up on screen.
There you go. The whole gag is that the overarching gag anyway is that the cast is butt naked the whole time. And we had a lot of fun with that and different ways of censoring it and funny ways of covering things up. Kind of like the old airplane movies or whatever, like Top Secret or something. So the thing was, the book did fairly well, and I kept on hearing from a few people that it's just like, oh yeah, it's like J. Scott Campbell and his studio and those people. It's like they're a little upset. Kind of like the Eric Larson story where it's just like, oh geez, you did a parody and now they're upset. I'm just like, oh man, I'm never going to work with these guys again, or they're pissed off at me or whatever. And Jeff himself didn't stop by the table, but the rest of his entourage from his image table came over to our table, and they stood in front of our table as though they were a gang.
West Side Story status?
Huh? What's that?
Like West Side Story? Were they snapping?
They may as well have been. In my mind, they were. But I remember them distinctly standing in front of the table and picking up the book. A few of them picked up a copy of the book, started looking through it, looking at us, looking at the book, looking super serious, and just basically just putting me through the ringer for no reason, because then they started laughing like it was no big deal. But for a good solid second, I was just like, we're getting kicked out. I'm never going to work in this business again. I never have a chance of.
We're getting kicked out of what? The event? No, the industry.
the industry. Like, how dare you cash in on our book, on our dime? But no, they were actually super cool about it. It's but there was a good. I'm sure it only lasted 60 seconds, but it lasted in my brain. It lasted like good 10 minutes of them just standing there scowling at me, looking at the book. Not one smile, not one laugh.
Somebody did the people's eyebrow before The Rock was even a wrestler.
Oh yeah. The bill was not cooking what you wanted to smell.
You have to give them props for a great prank, though, to pull on you.
That was no. They get all the points, and I honestly don't even know. Like, I never kept in touch with those guys, and I honestly can't even remember their faces because they're just like nightmare visions of just ghosts that came up. But yeah, I give them props for that one, because that was holy crap.
They are judging my entire life.
Go back to the hotel and change your pants afterwards.
Well, it kind of reminded me of like that scene from Superman when they're kind of judging General Zod before they friggin' shoot him out into the Phantom Zone, where it's like all those faces are up on the walls going, guilty, guilty, guilty. I'm like, son of a bitch. It's like, so that was so that's the experience that I tied to that specific book.
Okay.
There you go. So there's one.
All right. And you have upwards of 100 of those. Fantastic.
Depending on when I get the flashback, sure.
If you crack your spine right that day, I mean.
If you open a pack of those old markers and start having like Vietnam flashbacks.
Oh yeah. That'll set off the old factory system.
Oh man. So.
Oh jeez.
Have you been in comics since then, or do you just do like freelance stuff? What are you doing now? Where can
I've been in comics. I've been in comics. Yeah, I've been in comics full time since then. I did take a little bit of a break in 2000 when my daughter was born.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be there for her and not not be completely consumed all the time with drawing and stuff like that. So I kind of did the old Pet Boys thing for a good 5 years. I was still drawing on the side, but I needed something that was dependably steady, because comics is a roller coaster. I mean, you'll do really great a few months, you'll do nothing for a few months, and it goes up and down. So you really got to plan ahead. But with her being, 2-3 years old, I had to have something that was steady and dependable. And as soon as things started picking up again, then I left Pet Boys and just went back to doing art. So I've been doing comics and art and commissions and things like that for basically the duration, because I never stopped. I just got the extra job.
What about you, Don? Are there any stories that you did with Bill that just stand out in your head for any particular reason?
Let's see. This is
get Bill out of my house.
I'm not thinking of one in particular, but it was just really cool to give Bill a script and then just see it come to life. So every time I'd get artwork back from Bill, it's almost like Christmas, because that's the fun thing about working with somebody that you can, jive with creatively. It's just a well-oiled machine, and the more you work, the more comfortable you get, and you develop trust. But I'd probably say, just because it was the very first thing we ever did, X-Force has a special place in my heart. And then the X-Cons book, which was the very first Parody Press thing that we ever launched together, and all the initial image books that we did, like Yawn and Sewage Dragoon, Old Blood. Bill, had his creative imprint on all those books in one way or the other, whether he drew them or colored the covers, or he's just the jack of all trades. So we just worked really well together. And I think one of the things that I've liked that I saw recently was, there's a Sam Keith group on Facebook, and it's got like a couple thousand fans, and they're just diehard Sam Keith fans. So I joined that group, and I told them I had worked with Sam on the Adolescent Radioactive Black Belt Hamsters, and that we also did a spoof of the Max, which was his image book, called The Tax, which was about an Aborigine tax collector, out in the outback. And we worked on that with a local guy a guy named Mike Taylor. So he and Bill both, they did the artwork and I did the story for The Tax. And these guys kept on saying, "Hey, do you got any issues of The Tax left? Because we've been looking forever for that book." And I'm going, "Yeah, I don't think I do. I mean, I've got like tons of long boxes in my garage full of Parody Press books, but I hadn't seen The Tax. We did like an ash can that was only like $1.50. That was half size, and then we did a full 32-page comic book edition as well. And so I said, I'm sorry guys, I don't think I have any copies of that. And then I look on eBay, and I see that this book's going like for $300 or $400 to collect these. And I just dropped, and I just said, "Wow, these guys are really diehard Sam collectors." I mean, Sam didn't even draw the book; we just spoofed his character, and I think that's probably the highest priced Parody Press book I've seen. On recently on eBay, it sold graded for like $500 or $400. Then
wow.
I found a copy of the ash can just this weekend, so it's the only one I have. I don't think I'd part with it, but I know if I ever had to pay for some groceries, I could. Sell it.
I'm going to my boxes. I'll be right back.
BRB, going to get rich.
No ramen noodles for Bill this week.
I told Bill maybe we should reprint that one again. We might be like printing paper money.
Oh man. So first off, it's getting close on the hour and a half mark. I don't want to keep you guys all night, but I do. If there's anything Ayrton, do you have any questions since, I never let you talk?
I mean, I think I got most of them.
Okay.
I'm mostly just going through my brain, just thinking of all like the little bits that stood out in the 3 books we read for this. Well, I love the airplane style joke with Professor X and Genie.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
The entire makeup of the teams was fantastic on both events.
How'd you get away with that character of Genie?
Oh, you mean the one in the like the Jack Kirby era one?
Yeah.
You mean how did I get away with making her like Genie from I Dream of Genie? Or
right, yeah.
Hold on.
I don't know. I mean,
let me check with my lawyer and make sure the statutes run out on that one before you answer that, Don.
I actually never thought about that.
I feel like TV people are way more ruthless on copyright stuff, even with parodies.
Yeah. Well, I guess we just got lucky that the lawyer or whoever represents that a 60s 60s TV show never read X-Cons or X-Cards. The Cracked and Mad, they did this for years, and I don't think they ever really got sued because there's some kind of legal precedence for parody.
Fair use, yeah.
Yeah. But
it's our First Amendment right.
There you go.
I mean, out of all your parodies, that one seems like the most on the nose.
Thank you. I really liked that one. I figured I liked. I always loved working with Bill, and Mark Lewis was a guy that a friend of a friend knew, and Mark drew that. He's really good at imitating different styles, especially that old Kirby-esque style. He actually did a lot of books with Gary Carlson over at Image for the Big Bang series, which was kind of a throwback era of like 50s type superhero look, and those were really good, and Mark worked on a lot of those.
Okay.
So I do have one last question for Bill, and I want to give you guys a chance to market yourself, let everybody know where they can find you and everything, and get any last words. First off, do you guys have any questions for us? I mean, I know that's not normally how an interview works, but I feel rude if I don't at least
reverse interview.
I liked Ayrton. He sent me in the chat on Skype a picture of him in his tuxedo T-shirt. So I'm going to download that and figure out something fun to do with it.
That's an honor.
I don't think he means in a comic book, Ayrton. Calm down.
I don't care. I mean, he could hang it up at the range for target practice for all I
know. No, Ayrton's cool. He's a musician. You should hear some of his jams. Bill, he'll have to send you some links to his music.
Well, thank you.
He's very talented.
I appreciate that.
I don't think I have any questions. I'm looking forward. Maybe if Bill, when he comes up with his next parody press book, or if he does another X-Men spoof, that you'll have him on. And
absolutely.
Of course.
When I get further with the hamsters and Cyber Frog and whatnot, I've got some irons in the fire. I'd like to self-publish. Maybe do some older projects that have kind of been on my back burner. So if I get around to those, I'll definitely give you guys a buzz and let you know.
Well, we're definitely going to have to review Parody Press when it comes out. But I did, like I said earlier, I do have one final question for Bill. And this one, this is a deep cut. You gotta.
Uh-oh.
It's so. As the host of the show, I did a little bit of research. Like most of the questions I asked you, I kind of already knew the answers, but I was, getting to a point where we could move the discussion in that direction. And in doing some research on you, I've discovered something that, I had to save this question for last. How do you feel about Art Spiegelman, and are you upset with him that when you search your name, his Wikipedia comes up?
Okay, I will admit I've only signed one of his books. only one.
If you search for Bill
the
Mouse,
person insisted.
If you search for Bill Mouse on Wikipedia on Google, Mouse by Art Spiegelman is the first result.
Oh yeah, I was a New York Times best-selling character before any of this even started.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I was actually brought a copy of that at one of our first shows. See, we showed up looking pretty fly. Don had us hooked up. We had track lighting. We had a felt wall. You know, we had our graphics up on the. We were looking. We looked like we'd been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah,
we were fresh out of the gate, and somebody.
I honestly thought you were about to
polo
say you
shirts with our logos, like a logo on them, and we were rocking it, man. We were busy back in the day.
We showed up. It's like even now, 30 years later, I show up to a show with a cardboard box, and I'm just happy to be there. Because we showed up on the first day out. We were pretty fly, and we had tons of books on the table. It's like you could tell that Don had everything just super together. It's like, oh, you're a publisher. You put out books, and the guy sitting down is signing books. You know, he's very, 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 very focused. You know, it's like somebody did bring up that copy of Art Spiegelman's Mouse, and I had to tell them, it's like, you know, I didn't do this. It's not me. And they're just like, but your name's Bill Mouse, and I'm just like, yeah, but it's not me. It's like, this is somebody else. It's like, you know, and they're just like, well, can you sign it anyway? Because
I'm already here.
That's worth a lot, man.
Now they did buy some comics. They did buy some books, and hopefully they've remained fans over the years because I forged someone else's book for them, but. But yeah, that was a funny day.
Now it's my life's goal to track down a copy of Mouse signed by Bill Mouse. Like, I have to find that person's copy somewhere, like in an estate sale or something.
There's only one copy out there. There's only one official one.
The holy grail of my comic collection.
Take a copy of Mouse to a show that Bill's at, and we'll just have him sign it.
No. That spoils it. No, I want the only one.
You got to find the actual 30-year-old book.
And when I find it, then I'm going to take it to a show and get him to sign it again.
Exactly. I'll put a sketch in it this time.
Well, maybe you guys will come to if they get San Diego Con going again next year. Do you guys ever foresee yourself going out to San Diego?
We've discussed actually going to a convention as the gospel one day, just for shiggles. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Doing like a stream from there and stuff.
Oh yeah,
that'd be super cool.
Put together a couple of things to give away and raise some awareness about the show and everything. But
now this year San Diego Comic-Con is actually having an at-home edition. I think they're calling it.
I've been meaning
from
to look into that.
July 22nd. Yeah, it's July 22nd through the 26th. They've already invited like anybody because we were supposed to have a table at the show this year. I've been there every year for since we started, actually since 93.
Wow.
But I've got a virtual table at their virtual Comic-Con. So from July 22nd through the 26th, you'll be able to find Bill Moss art somewhere in the Artist Alley area of however it is that they have their digital shows. And I think I don't know, but I think the show is actually free for everybody to sign on and look through and attend and all this sort of stuff. So it's the first time they're doing this sort of thing. I'm not really sure how it's all set up, but I'm sure, you go to the website and stuff, everything will be pretty self-explanatory how you can meander your way into there.
Yeah,
we'll have to check that out. That could be interesting for the show.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be cool. It's a sign of the times. We're kind of going through a little like a slow motion apocalypse right now. So once we're done with that, we can go to real shows again.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly disappointed with this apocalypse. I wanted more, like volcanic eruptions and
I'm just upset.
Asteroids and stuff.
We're still early. This is only July.
It's only, that's right.
But wait,
that's what boss told me. She's like, calm down. You'll get your chance for all the craziness.
But wait, we skipped right over Murder Hornets, and I was ready for Murder Hornets.
True.
Yeah, I don't
have to wait for the hamsters.
They canceled the Murder Hornets.
Yeah. Anyway, gentlemen, I definitely appreciate it. Mr. Don Chin, Mr. Bill Mouse, thank you so much for gracing us with so much of your time. I really
thank you for having me.
And we'll definitely have to do it again.
Definitely.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure. It's good to
Thanks a lot.
hear Bill's voice after several. I haven't talked to Bill. I don't know if I told you this in a long time. But
it's been a long time for sure.
We'll have to wrangle.
You facilitated a reunion.
Well, we'll have to wrangle Kenan for the next one. He was not able to join us this evening, but he has okayed a future appearance, so we'll have to get all you guys together again. And then awesome. Ayrton and I can just mute our mics, and you guys can giggle about the past while I record it.
That'd be fun.
I'll re-rent this tuxedo shirt for that event as well.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Well, you're welcome. Take care, guys.
Always.
Thanks, Bill.
Hey, thanks, Don. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good night,
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Go ahead and get us out of here.
Good night, everybody.